All right, guys. So as we wrap up our lesson on choice theory, let's go ahead and just go over what we've discussed so far. The only person whose behavior we can control is our own. All we can give another person is information. Number 3, all lasting psychological problems are relationship problems. Again, this is William Glasser's choice theory. The problem relationship is always a part of present life. What happens in the past has everything to do with what we are today. But we can only satisfy our basic needs right now and plan to continue satisfying them in the future. Wow, what is that saying? It's saying that, yes, we are a result. If you do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, those long equations, before you get the exponents, before you get to their math, you do a long, yes, it all equals to right now. But unless and it's not an equation, because you can't just hit clear on the calculator and start back over. No, because it's already added up. And you can't do anything about what was done in the past. Okay, we want justice, we want peace, we want things to be served, we want people to do the time for the crime. We get that, right, totally. Don't misunderstand me. What I'm referring to is where we are is equal sign now. And where we're going is up to us, because we can only satisfy our needs in the present. We can't go back when we were hungry at 7 and 8 years old and give us a piece of bread. We can't Marty McFly us into the past and get us the nourishment that we needed. But now that we know that we're malnourished, we know that we can go out there and do what we have to do to be successful. That's where we're going with that, okay? And let's go back to number 1. It says, the only person whose behavior you can control is your own. And I didn't want to skip over that, because it's so important to know that no matter how much strategic power we try to move, even when it comes to entrepreneurship, we can't force a customer to buy something that they don't want to buy. We can't force the customer, and we all know that, because what's the hardest thing there is to do? To get what? Sales. What we all looking for that is hard to get? Sales, conversion. And we can't, no matter how much we predict, no matter how much we try to force an algorithm, no matter how much the ads are controlled, and no matter how much you bid, it doesn't determine if you're actually going to get the customer to buy. How many times have you seen the ad go 150 times, but you never clicked or thought to buy it? Because you ain't had the money. You see, that's the other thing. If you don't have it, the choice is not even an option. So when we talk about this, if someone don't have it, how can they give it? If a person don't have that congratulations that you're looking for, how can they give it? If a person don't have that money that you're looking for, how can they give it? If a person don't have it in them to share, like, and support you without a financial thing, how can they give it? How can they give you something that they don't have? You see, the only person behavior that you can control is your own. If the person don't have it, if they don't have hands to applaud, how are they going to applaud you? So you got to understand that some people just aren't going to be able to give you a round of applause. They don't even have the tools to do it. So when you understand that the only person behavior you can control is your own, you understand that things are just going to be what they're going to be. Number 2, all we can give another person is information. Now, William Glasser is saying that all we can give, the most we can do for another individual is give them the information. And that's some powerful stuff, because how many times have we tried to show up at court and defend the person for them and be like, oh, Your Honor, this is a great person. Give them another chance. How many times have we tried to give a person a job and then they don't show up on the first day? You go out your way to get them this connection, to get them this interview, to get them this position, and they don't show up. You go all out your way to put them on your health insurance so they can get therapy, so they can get counseling, and they don't show up. You see, the only thing you can do for a person to say, hey man, I'm listening to you, you might need to talk to somebody about that. But then you try to be their counselor. They telling you about all the stuff they didn't get growing up. Oh, I was this, I was that, I was this, and I was that. And you trying to get them those things thinking it's going to cause them to be fulfilled, trying to be their salvation. But the only thing you can give a person is information. And the only person behavior you can control is your own. If you just put those two together, starting from this point on, game changer. If you from this point on only just took those two things from this message, I can only control my behavior. And two, that the most you can give a person is information. I'm going to keep moving on, okay? All long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems. What he's saying in this is everything that has happened to us, through us, with us, between us, it happened through a relationship with something else. And I'll go as simple as when Isaac Newton, an apple fell on his head, right? I may have gotten that guy mixed up. Him and that relationship with that apple helped him discover the terminology of gravity, right? It's a relationship. Everything is a relationship, okay? So Tarzan was born into a village, right, of apes. And he was raised in this village of apes by all these different monkeys and these different types of animals and in the bugs, eating roaches and all types of wild stuff, right? But his dilemma when he got around cultivated humans is that he didn't fit in. He was different. Right? So if you go and say all long lasting, and we could talk about Tarzan on the psychological level. Y'all don't want to talk about that? Y'all don't want to talk about Tarzan from a mental health standpoint. Tarzan was a little boy who was left in the jungle, raised by non-civilized beasts. Let's just leave it at that. So when he met Jane and her father and these scientists, these snooty people, and the guy who wanted Jane, you know, and they were up of all this posture, okay? The cartoon shows us that he didn't fit in. He was trying to woo her with things that he would woo an ape with, okay? And there were just, when he got to the city, there were just some things that wasn't acceptable. So how many of us was left in the jungle, raised by uncivilization, but then thrown into the civilized world by Act 2? Now we in Act 2. We in Act 2, and we were thrown into the new world, and we have to figure out what's going on. But nobody is talking about, like I said earlier, right? What we talked about earlier, from the childhood to now, you are a combination of everything added up to now. But you're in it now. Now Tarzan is in civilization. Tarzan is in the real world, guys. And he can't do nothing about his upbringing. He can't do anything about being raised by apes. Best friend is a monkey and an elephant. He can't do anything about that. Now he's in the real world. What the song say? And if living in the real world. He's in the real world now, and he's experiencing what a lot of us experience when we go from the hood to corporate America. when we go from traumatized childhoods to loving relationships, when we go from this to that, it's a change where the world, our reality that we were raised up in the don't talk spirit, right? The don't tell my business spirit. And then you get into a place where it's important for you to be honest. You can't build an intimate relationship because you were told to keep things a secret too much. So you've never actually spoken your truth in the process of staying in a child's place. Now, I'm not here to push anything or talk about, I'm just saying that when Tarzan came from the jungle into a civilized place, his life was extremely different. Everything that he had learned from, y'all remember when, what's the dude name that played him in the real movie? He was swinging from vines in the city. Now, y'all know, only person who can get away with swinging from vines in New York is Spider-Man. And Tarzan had no powers. He was human, just like us. But the difference was he wasn't raised in a two-parent household. He wasn't raised in a one-parent household. He wasn't raised in a house. He was raised in the jungle by some beast. And he became the result of his environment. Tarzan, we love Tarzan. He was charming, especially when, I can't think of the dude's name that played him, but we loved him. The dude who played the mummy, we loved him. Y'all put his name in the thing, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But let's keep going, guys, because I don't know how much time before my battery dies. All right, so we kind of went on a tangent on there. I hope you get the point, okay? Okay, the problem relationship is always a part of the present life. So that goes into that right here. We just kind of went into there, right? So when Tarzan got into the city, the problems that Tarzan was having was with the relationships of the people who were already adapted to civilization. Okay? So let's say you're a very abused child, ace baby, right? Children of adverse childhood experiences. A lot of abuse, and now you're in an environment where there is no abuse. There is no trauma. There is no alcoholic person coming home in the middle of the night trying to sexually assault you. There is none of that. But instead, there's freedom. Instead, there's security. Instead, there is consistency. You feel safe in yourself for the first time. But you don't feel safe because trauma manipulates and mutates your DNA, your brain, your mind. There's a book, The Body Keeps the Score. It talks about how when victims of trauma naturally revert back to living in that even when the trauma is happening and they don't know it's happening. Okay? So when it says that past time when Tarzan got into the civilized area, they did not see this coming. He was still doing ape-like things. He had to learn over time. He had to be conditioned so that he can fit in to the new environment that he had, which always existed, but yet he wasn't exposed to it. Tarzan is an ace baby, a child of Advil. He was abandoned, okay? And he was malnourished. Yes, they had fruit and stuff, but come on, y'all. Y'all saw, you couldn't tell because the actor that played him now is a little chubby, but you could see his ribs in that other movie, y'all. But we're going to keep moving forward because the problem relationship is always a part of the present life. His past affected his present life. His childhood affected how he interacted during the civilized world. Keep moving forward. Number 5. What happened in the past has everything to do, boom, we're right there, has everything to do to where we are today. But we can only satisfy the basic needs right now and plan to continue satisfying them in the future. So when he realized that he had to adapt, Tarzan had to adapt to civilization. He realized that he had to adapt to civilization. He did. Sometimes he went back home sometimes. In the cartoon, he went back home indefinitely, but he didn't do certain things that would cause issues with his wife later on once he got married and became domesticated, right? You no matter if you living in a jungle or you living in a hut and you become married, you domesticized a little bit. So he couldn't be out hanging out late with the apes, shooting banana shots all night long, okay? He couldn't be out there on the corner, you know what I'm saying, slinging vines. He couldn't. He had to be in the house doing certain things because now his circumstances has changed and he could only satisfy himself in the present day. He couldn't do nothing. Back in the day, there was no bedtime. There was no curfew. We're in the jungle. And not the concrete jungle. This is this fertilized jungle. This the real jungle. This the Jungle Book jungle. Mowgli type, okay? Listen. We can only satisfy our needs by satisfying the pictures or specific wants of our quality world. Boom, boom. While he was trying to satisfy the world that he was living in, he had conflict. But when he learned to adapt and just be himself and notice the world around him and like, look, I am different. This ain't home. Nigga, this is New York. Okay, now look, everybody kind of look the same. But this is not it. Let's keep moving forward. Number 7, all we do is behave. That right there, that's action. That's action. All we do is behave. All we do is move and do things. So when we say the word behave, we're referring to action, moving, movement, gestures, talking, looking, listening, hearing, smelling. Everything we're doing, that's a behavior, okay? Now that we've defined behavior, let's keep moving forward. Number 8, all behavior is total behavior and is made up of 4 components. Listen to these 4 components: acting, thinking, feeling, and physiology. That's the physical, right? So we talked about all of those. And let's get into number 9. All total behavior is chosen, but we only have direct control over the acting and thinking components. Keep that in mind. We only control our feeling and physiology enter directly through our choice of act and thinking. So they work together. When we think and we act, it affects our physiology and our feelings. So what we do, and that goes a little bit into CBT, but we're gonna get into that in another lesson, because what's happening is when we're thinking and we're acting, it does the rest of the work as far as developing our physiology and our feelings. So if we're thinking of something negative, we might start feeling bad. If we're not exercising, we might start getting fat. You see what I'm saying? So let's jump into the last one, number 10. All total behavior is designated by verbs and named by a part of the most recognizable. All total behavior is designated by verbs and named by the part of its most recognizable. I don't know what that means. If you know what that means, chime in the comments. But guys, I hope that this was good. Reading out the good book. If no one's told you they love you today, know that God loves you and so do I. Make it a great day or not. My name is Emmanuel Simms. If no one's told you they love you today, know that God loves you and so do I. Eudaimonia TV, Church of the Entrepreneurs. Dribbity, dribbity. Let's do a quick prayer. And if you guys want to pray, make your offer. So let's do a quick prayer. Universe, I am open and ready for you to start conspiring in my favor to make my dreams come true. And I request for a clear sign of my reality to come to me today. I am open and ready. Thank you.